Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome. Please like and subscribe to follow along with all of our content. We've got a lot of videos on here related to free energy and free heat. So today I had overflowed my tank while I was working on the back half of the greenhouse. So this is our egg paint, and it held up for a good 15 minutes of water running over it and basically washing it off. Some of the chunkier stuff fell off, but we've still got a decent black surface, and it doesn't stink, it didn't run. All good to go. I got this pretty level here, so we're going to be able to hold a lot of energy and heat in this tank. So I didn't come out here to talk about the tank today. We had about 30 degrees overnight, and we're sitting about 70 degrees or so in the greenhouse, which is awesome because I ended up opening this window. It's nice out. We've got a good sunny day, so I'm able to get some work done. Got a lot of onions to get planted up here. So I've covered a lot of content lately on our small greenhouse and possibly compost heating all winter with that small little setup. So we're on the large greenhouse checking out our large setup. I've got my overflow tank here just covered with a tarp and covered with our shade cloth to keep any algae down until this water actually starts to flow here. But we're not out here checking on the water system today. Even though I did get my lines ran, I had ran the fan. Our solar fan over here is going to deep cycle and bank all winter long. So just like our small greenhouse, we're trying to do this as cheaply as possible. So we're using solar power so we don't have an electric bill, and we're using as much recycled and free material that we can in order to get heat and grow food the entire winter. So first off, we've got our fuel dumped for our heat. So I had to run some tubes to get our air lines out there. We weren't able to get some metal tubing in order to transfer better heat, so I ended up using my tiling, my 4-inch drain tiling, non-perforated, so I can basically cycle air from inside the greenhouse all the way through and back out and possibly heat it with all of our compost this winter. So we're gonna run out and check on our wood chips. I wanted to talk about our fuel source. It's a little windy out here today, so I apologize if I cannot hear everything, so I'm gonna try and talk loud here. We've got all of these wood chips we got dumped behind us over here, and this is a completely free, you can still see we got some rain and the guy left some tracks, but this is our fuel source right here. This will provide enough heat for the entire winter. So aside from running solar power for free energy, we're getting free energy in all these wood chips. These are completely free, and I'm sure they're fresh, so they're already starting to compost here. You can see the thermometer going right up there. So that's actively rising still, so this pile is definitely hot and active. It feels warm to the outside touch. So first off, this is pretty fresh cut stuff, fresh wood chips. So we're between 100 to 500 parts to 1 carbon to nitrogen. So we have between 1 and 500 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen right now in this pile. And with your dead and old wood chips, like really aged wood chips, like stuff you'd see at your kids' playground and stuff, those are going to be 600 or so to 1 ratio carbon to nitrogen. So this has a great high carbon to nitrogen ratio, and it has a great density. These wood chips are super dense and they take a long time to break down. So we can get a good 2-year burn off of a large compost pile with all wood chips and a lot of added nitrogen. We like to add nitrogen to these piles in many ways because of the high carbon ratio. So we want to balance that out a little more and throw a bunch of liquid nitrogen and comfrey, chicken poo, very high nitrogen stuff. Any green stuff, throw leaves in there, throw a bunch of our old radishes. We've got a ton of radishes along the side of the greenhouse that are all still green. Still lots of green, nitrogen-rich material here in early November that we can add to this. We're gonna get this pile built up this week. We're gonna run back over to the greenhouse. I just wanted to come out here and get a good look. You can see the heat coming off the pile, about 140 degrees, so that is excellent, and this pile is definitely the size we needed in order to fill our entire ring over there. So now that I got all the materials I need, I basically have my water, I've got my lines, I've got my air lines, I've got all my wood chips, and I've got all my nitrogen and all of my leaf bags nonetheless. I've been harvesting a bunch of leaf bags off the streets and bringing them back out to the farm and just stockpiling them. I got a whole truckload in the truck right now I just brought after dropping the kid off at school. So all of those free resources are great insulation for us. Just like in our small greenhouse with our little compost pile, we've insulated our entire northern wall and all the way around our compost pile with leaf bags, because those are great free resources. Like I said, I didn't use any metal tubing because I wasn't able to acquire it at the price I wanted or for free, so I ended up using some extra drain tile I had already purchased. So this is already bought and paid for. I got about 25 to 30 feet of drain tile running, and I'm going to go through and explain how I set all this up. So let's jump down here to our exit pipe on our compost air heating system. So I wanted to show that this is blowing dust away. I don't have an incent, but you can see the dust traveling away. We've got a decent airflow to it. So for this, we're using the same exact fan that we've got on our geothermal, and that is why I decided to go with this tubing, because with our geothermal, it runs down 7.5 to 8 feet all the way up to the middle of the greenhouse. So this thin but sturdy tile pipe is a decent conductor. It's not the best conductor like metal would be, but it does something and it transfers some heat. So we're able to use this, and I'm interested to see how well this works. So I've got my fan set up here running off this tiny little solar system, and it's all just kind of haphazardly put together. I just wanted to be able to run it. We've got good airflow. I've got both my water lines here, so I'm going to kind of separate everything out, and then I'll dig out around this, and I'm going to insulate. So coming outside the greenhouse, we've got these two pipes running in. I used a whole bunch of little cement stakes or fencing stakes there to go all the way around. So I basically got my ring built here. We've got a decent ring built out here, and I kind of left my gate open there, my fencing, so I can work and kind of build a wall and insulate right in here where I'll have all my pipes. I'm going to insulate that heavily where it transfers and doesn't have compost insulating it. And when we come in with our wood chips, I'm going to lift our piping up on the first load of wood chips, and then I'll let it sit on top of that as we add nitrogen and water to it. Drain tile will be up in the center, and you can see I've got at least 3 to 4 feet around my drain tile all the way around the outside to insulate it from the outside temps and keep it nice and warm in that compost pile this winter. And we'll be able to take all those leaf bags, go around it. I just grabbed a bunch more leaf. I've been getting as many leaf bags as I can in that truck in preparation for building this compost pile and stacking all of them up to insulate around, and possibly even on top underneath the tarp. I wanted to share this update with everybody before I actually built the pile. I wanted to share all the steps and everything involved, and this is the biggest, most crucial step. Preparation is everything right here, trying to get everything set up and just making sure all of this is going to stay put. I've got some bigger fence stakes I'm going to put up on the outside. I just wanted these little posts I pounded in on the inside to hold the ring up, and then we're going to be holding all of the pile from pushing out because it's going to be so heavy with all of those wood chips. So I hope this helped give everybody a better understanding for what's going on. This is where we go into the greenhouse, where it's coming out, getting wrapped. This is all going to be compost, and everything is going to be ran off of these solar systems. We're going to be pushing some water through both of these copper tubes, all the same like our air that's going to be heated. Nice simple little solar systems there. Very easy. We've got a couple extra batteries we've got to throw on. Got our geothermal running off of that. That will be running our water transfer system also. So we've got 2 separate solar systems. If anybody's got any questions on anything I talked about today, I've got more updates coming. Once I get all my water set up and moving, I'll bring an update on that separately, and then I'll bring an update on the whole system as a whole. It'll probably be a lot longer video to get in depth and talk about all of the moving parts of this and all of the interchangeable parts nonetheless. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching these videos and hanging out with me today and checking out all of this free energy. We're going to be able to heat our greenhouse for multiple months.